tenure in public office or an open book. I've always tried to do my best in serving this great nation of ours. In the last 10 years, we as a country have seen many successes and achievements that we should be proud of. Today, India is a far stronger country in every respect than it was a decade ago. I give credit for these successes to all of you. However, there is still vast latent development potential in our country, and we must collectively work hard to realize it. As I leave office, my abiding memory will be the love and kindness that I have always received from you. I owe everything to this country, this great land of ours, where I, an underprivileged child of partition, was empowered enough to rise and occupy high office. It is both a debt that I will never be able to repay and a decoration that I will always wear with pride.
A sad day for the country with the passing away of Dr. Manmohan Singh, one of the finest of gentlemen, one of the finest economists ever, and of course, a great prime minister the country has ever had. And suddenly, with the passing away of such a phenomenal person, one subject which comes to my mind is knowledge and power. It is stated in the scriptures that knowledge is power. But when you change the phrase a little bit by saying knowledge and power, a lot of dimensions get into the picture. I'm reminded of what Dr. Manmohan Singh had said uh, in an interview to the British journalist Mark Tully during the year 2005. And he was recollecting his Cambridge days. I quote him: I first became conscious of the creative role of politics in shaping human affairs, and I owe that mostly to my teachers John Robinson and Nicholas Caldor. John Robinson was a brilliant teacher, but she also sought to awaken the inner conscience of her students in a manner that very few others were able to achieve. She questioned me a great deal and made me think the unthinkable. She propounded the left wing interpretation of Keynes, maintaining that the state has to play more of a role if you really want to combine development with social equity. Caldor influenced me even more. I found him pragmatic, scintillating, stimulating. John Robinson was a great admirer of what was going on in China, but Caldor used the Keynesian analysis to demonstrate that capitalism could be made to work. Now, Dr. Singh will be remembered, of course, for the abolition of the license Raj, the trade liberalization and import tariff reduction, and by slashing tariffs from over 300% to around 50%, Dr. Manmohan Singh opened up the Indian market to global competition. This move not only benefited consumers through lower prices, but also stimulated domestic industries to innovate and improve their products. encouragement of foreign direct investment. His government implemented policies that eased restrictions on FDI across various sectors, including telecommunications, insurance, and retail. This influx of foreign capital not only bolstered economic growth but also created jobs and improved infrastructure. Manmohan Singh's approach to FDI was instrumental in positioning India as an attractive destination for international investors. Tax reforms. Dr. Singh introduced comprehensive tax reforms aimed at broadening the tax base and simplifying the tax structure. He raised the income tax exemption limit while reducing the number of tax slabs from 4 to 3, which made compliance easier for taxpayers. Now, these reforms improved revenue generation for the government while fostering a more conducive environment for economic activity. This is the striking feature of Dr. Singh's policies. Conducive environment for economic activity. That raises a couple of questions about today's governance, but that's a different part of the story. We shouldn't be talking about that today. The National Food Security Act. During his tenure as Prime Minister, Dr. Singh championed social welfare initiatives, including the National Food Security Act in 2013. This landmark legislation aimed to provide subsidized food grains to nearly two-thirds of India's population, ensuring that food security became a fundamental right for citizens. The NFSA represented a significant step towards addressing hunger and malnutrition in India, highlighting Singh's commitment to social equity alongside economic growth. What struck me as one of the most striking features was that his language was really too good. In fact, he was once uh, talking in New Delhi. His remarks at the lecture by Amartya Sen on centrality of literacy. It was on August 3rd, 2010. He opens it this way. I'm delighted to be here today to listen to my school friend Amartya Sen. I'm glad that Prateek Trust, Asian Development Research Institute, Patna, and the National Literacy Mission have jointly hosted this unique event. The subject of Amartya's lecture today is the centrality of literacy. The human race shares with many other living beings the ability to communicate orally. But communicating through the written word is an ability unique to humankind. The centrality of literacy to human society is therefore easily established. However, what has taken economists more time to appreciate is the centrality of literacy and education to economic and social development and empowerment of people. I'll repeat this. What has taken economists more time to appreciate is the centrality of literacy and education to economic and social development and empowerment of people. I have often drawn attention to the simple statistic that there is no modern industrial nation that does not have a minimum of 80% literacy. It is in this context not a very good commentary on our priorities in development that even at the end of the first decade of the 21st century, which we so proudly hail as a knowledge century, a quarter to a third of our people remain illiterate. It is even more unfortunate that a strong gender bias against women persists in the spread of literacy. May I just take you to one more occasion? On another occasion, it was on 12th January 2012. This was the World Sanskrit Conference, and he started by saying, संस्कृत भारत की आत्मा है, इसलिए मुझे आज इस सम्मेलन में शामिल होते हुए बहुत खुशी प्राप्त हो रही है. Dr. Singh mostly wrote his lines in Urdu. It was easy for him. And remember, he used to travel miles using a kerosene lantern because he was, as he said earlier, an underprivileged boy coming from the partition days. And to rise to such a level is a great story indeed. Now he continues to say Sanskrit has not only some of the greatest classics of world literature, but also a treasure of knowledge in mathematics, medicine, botany, chemistry, arts, and humanities. If we provide the missing links and establish the required interdisciplinary approaches, the wisdom of Sanskrit has the potential of enriching the present day knowledge systems and Indian languages immensely. This is Dr. Manmohan Singh, who was rooted in the greatness of this country, and he was so dynamic that he modernized it, liberalized it, and finally he was not such a silent prime minister, contrary to what people thought. And he knew what he was doing. And if you really considered him as someone who is playing to somebody else's tunes, you're mistaken. When you talk about knowledge and power, knowledge is power by itself. It doesn't aim at advertising its power. So the very statement he said, uh, history will be kinder to me, is a real statement he had made. Well, of course, yes. History, history is not only kind to you, sir. It will remember you forever as that kind gentleman who did everything in a very gentle and enormous manner. May God bless his soul.